Hi. Welcome to TableTalk Friday, a D&D podcast. Three guys are going to talk to each other and give their advice and opinions on Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot. If you like the show, make sure to follow them on whichever podcast service you prefer and come back every single Friday for another upload or episode, whatever you prefer to call it. Have fun, I guess. Bye. Yeah, ta-ta. Bye. Yeah, see ya. Bye. Bye.
Dude, I feel like I'm hotter at this angle somehow. I feel like Zach, do I look better from this angle?
Absolutely, Drew.
I have a question, guys. My question consists of this. We don't play D&D on Friday. What do we do?
That's a great fucking question.
Well, we could play more D&D.
So hip surgery
absence.
Eric is going to be here again, which is going to
Woo.
be nice, you know. They're going to hang out for a little bit. And I'm just like, what the fuck do we do? We're not playing D&D until Sunday. I'm going to have to get up work on Sunday and, DM.
Is she at least bringing, macaroons?
I don't know. Well, I mean, if not, why even come over?
Are
Yeah,
there
you better
macaroons?
tell her that she's not welcome in your home if she
Without
doesn't bring macaroons.
Ooh.
Homemade.
I want homemade macaroons, things you toiled night and day to make, to bring over to my abode. And if they're not here and I don't finish them on Friday, you're out. You're never coming back.
See, I kind of wish we
That's
didn't
what
talk
you gotta
about
tell her.
macaroons now because I really want to eat some.
They were good, weren't they?
They were really good. There was an eggnog
Scrumptious.
one.
I had at least 4 of each.
Wow. I can't believe you, Seth.
Dude, before
You ate those macaroons when I wasn't here and saved me one.
before you guys got home, or before Drew got home and you came over, I had already eaten like 13, 14 macaroons. And
my
then
gosh.
and then everyone came home and I still ate another 5 or 6.
You bastard.
And they were great.
Yeah, they were. Well, the one I had was great. No, you know what? I had 2.
And honestly, I needed the energy. Saturday, worked a 14-hour shift. Sunday, I again had a very, very long, busy day. So I've still been sleeping well, and I'm still not fully recovered from last weekend with the amount of physical exertion I did running a competition for a bunch of kids.
Well, you have plenty of time to rest up, relax, and focus on running a fantastic session on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I haven't really thought about D&D because I knew I wasn't running last week. We did play the Salt March session, which was a lot of fun. But I haven't thought about our campaign in a week and a half now, and now I gotta get back in the zone. I do remember where we left off, though. You know, we're gonna have an hour-long combat as we always do, so start off with that and then go into the rest. I don't really have to prepare that much, given that
Yeah, you were already pretty much prepared for...
I was prepared through the end of the mission.
Yeah.
Last time, and then I ended up making travel be very realistic travel for you guys. And with that came an extra 4 hours of playtime that I wasn't expecting.
Do you think we'll be able to finish our arc next session?
No.
Oh.
Not even close, Drew. Well, the true villain hasn't even been revealed yet, but I know that it's Dean Tullins. You can't tell me it's not.
Who knows? You can have your theories.
It's Dean Tollins.
You can have your theories.
It's definitely Dean Tollins. That's such a villain name.
Or is it?
No, it's definitely a villain name. Come on.
Dean.
It could be anyone.
That's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. It's like Dennis. You ever
Yeah.
meet a good guy named
Well,
Dennis?
his first name isn't Dean, I don't think.
Are you sure
he's-
it's not Calden or Professor Nestleberry or your dear beloved Charla, the
No.
Undone?
No. There's
She
no
is
way.
undone. That's true.
Or even Guppy.
It is Guppy.
Who's
Oh,
Guppy?
what a jerk. He's that
He-
guy that trained me and gave me the tough
Yeah,
feet.
he was
Right.
the
Out for
little
24
guy
hours.
who dueled Chad.
Oh, yeah, fucking Chad. Come to think of it, I can't wait to play D&D. Now I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm really excited to get back into it because I'm really enjoying the arc. I did expect that by this point we would have 1 session left, and we definitely have at least 2. And if things keep going as they have been, we have 3
So
of this arc.
yeah, we've been on this arc for, 4 sessions now?
3 sessions.
3, okay. But this will be our 4th.
Yeah. So it'll be a 5 or 6 session arc because there's no way you're finishing it next session. Dang. Yeah, you thought you were gonna get to the end of this mission, and it's like, all right, and that's it.
Well, I mean, I don't really want to finish it anyway because level 12 is my least favorite level to be. Like, I'd much rather be level 11.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you do get to make a new character for the next arc.
And I get to be my boy.
Oswin Alemaker. I'm excited to see Oswin again. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, how does Zach feel? How does Sean feel not having a character, really? Like, he's having to just make new characters and choose one, basically.
Right.
And then also Patrick not having Varys. I'm like, how do they feel about not being able to play their characters for so long?
It's honestly really weird because, like, I'm excited to play more Noman.
Yeah.
I love Noman. He's a really cool character. I think I like Warlocks now. That's an interesting revelation. But I really just want to play Oswin again.
Yeah, because there's so much left to like discover with Oswin. There's so much left to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got his whole story that we're gonna explore together. So, I just sometimes I will when I'm all by myself, I'll rehearse my Oswin voice so I don't forget what he sounds like, because that is something that I've been worried about. I'm like, I'm not going to play this character for 2 months. Like,
well,
do I
and
remember
that's
what
how
he
I
sounds
felt
like?
jumping back into Elijah the other day, because I was working. I was at the beginning and I was like, I haven't thought of my voice or my attitude at all. And then I got the spaced out look that I know Elijah has, and I was like, oh, here's where he is, because I just started like staring at things, and I was like, yep, now I'm back in character, because I just imagine Elijah's always just like got nothing going on up there except for like very like surface thoughts. And so it's just like staring directly into your eyes, or like listening to the conversation, but like kind of looking past your shoulder. And so whenever you were like DMing, I was just like looking past you, because I was like, I'm not going to be in character if I don't do this right.
What's Elijah's intelligence again?
6.
Ah,
He's
that
very wise.
Yeah.
Very charismatic. He has like all the things he has, but his intelligence is extremely low. Because I rolled amazing stats, but I rolled a 6. And I was like, well, that's definitely going to be my intelligence, because I felt like he's very good at like communicating things, but not everything he says makes a lot of sense.
I feel like a bad DM for not knowing that, because a lot of your decisions in that last session made a lot of sense. He can't read, but he can understand Goblin.
Yeah, well, and I was relating that to, he lost a lot of his memory at one point or another. He doesn't hit the books very well. It's like he understands things, he reads things and knows what they mean, but he's not going to really be able to articulate that well. It's like, oh, I know that says Tempest Edge, or like that's kind of what it means, like Windsword.
Yeah.
But like other than that, I don't really know. I couldn't tell you anything about what else it does. I think I had one intelligence stat that's a +0 because I'm proficient in it.
When you're proficient in something and you get a 0 bonus,
Because everything else is negative too.
That's awesome. See if you can get expertise on it just to get a little something extra.
And I imagined some of the cool moves I did and ended up rolling badly on. In my head, they looked so freaking cool, like Wonder Woman style, like pulling out that spear, getting the shield, and like going in for the stab in the air. I was like, this is gonna look so cool, and then I missed, and I was like, I guess it doesn't hit. I'm so sad.
Well, that's the game, my man.
I know. It's just I always try. I think Drew does it too, where when we're talking about our characters, we're getting into a session, we're really explaining everything we do because we want it to be as cool as possible. I think that's something that Drew and I have both done for a very long time now, where every time we make an attack, we have to describe how it is. We like it to be cinematic. I like mine to look like an anime. Drew likes his to look like a Disney character doing something. Because I would say Pyth very much like he casts like as I would see in like Pixar animation. You know what I mean?
I've never thought of him as, a Disney employee, but I feel like he could do that.
Well, he's got some Elsa magic going along. Not ice magic, but, the way that the effects look, I just imagine it in, like, animation style whenever Pyth casts.
I've never thought about that, but I can see where you're coming from, just thinking about, he kicks up the sparks off the ground.
That's
just
exactly
like
what I was thinking of.
You describe it in a very creative way, like an animator might think, okay, well, how do I make this thing happen? And then you do it in a creative,
when Pyth is
Disney-esque way.
when Pyth is casting, I imagine him 3D animated casting a spell. Whenever I'm describing my character, I'm imagining them as an anime character doing something that I think is cool.
Yeah, it really depends for me, because Quinn was definitely something of an anime character, I think. Honestly, that whole campaign, a lot of our everything was very anime, just for the nature of Schmidt was always doing cool
Oh
anime,
yeah, like Naruto type moves.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to match the energy there. But with Oswin, I think I don't know what his genre is, but it's always about, all right, well, how can I creatively flavor this tinkering? Like he's always doing something, grabbing some grease off the ground and mixing it in to make his new spell or whatever.
I think more than anything, when you're thinking about that as an artificer, it's just super cool because you get to bring the whole steampunk theme into the game. It's harder to bring that into, I guess maybe like you do something with a ranger, like you do the nature type of a vibe, I suppose, or any other caster. They kind of have the same sort of feel. With artificers, you get different resources, you could say.
You know what resource artificers need a lot of money?
No, what?
Oh, I messed up my punchline. One second. Okay, future Seth, here we go. You know what resource artificers need a lot of?
No, what?
Money!
They need a lot of money.
It's so weird that you asked the question and Zach knew the answer.
I can see the future.
Welcome to this episode of Table Talk Friday, where we're going in depth on cash money, dollar bills, coins of all different sorts, gold pieces, you name it. We're going to talk about what you can do with money in Dungeons and Dragons. How you boys doing today?
Feeling great. Need some more cheddar.
I hate that. Let's start this episode over.
You don't like that dough?
Oh my God. Need some dough to bake that bread.
Yeah, get some of that bread. Gotta rake it in, man. Gotta rake it in.
Why are we always talking about money like it's food? You ever seen someone eat money? You want to eat money? Money that's touched a million grubby hands?
Ooh, no.
But we did have a little text chain before the episode that I thought was very funny, where you two were talking, and Drew was like, we never see paper currency in D&D. Everything is always coin based. Where do they even get this much metal from? That's all I'm asking. But Zach said that would make a dragon really mad.
Well, yeah. So you imagine. Okay, so we're doing a setting where we've all decided, okay, coin minting is just a time-consuming process. No one's got time for it. We're going to switch to notes. Makes perfect sense. So everyone's got dollar bills. Then the dragon shows up, and they're trying to, raid a village. And, they put all their money into a big pile, and then they land on it and destroy half of it. Every time they want to lay on their bed of gold, they just can't.
You think dragons would learn how to, just sit gingerly on their bed, their woven bed of dollar bills.
Yeah, maybe they get someone to weave them together, and really it's just the thought that counts at that point.
Yeah.
Or you keep it in sacks or something.
There is
you can make it,
is something nice about a dragon's hoard being like gold coins, something they can burrow through, something that, given that a lot of dragons do have burrowing speeds and whatnot, something that they can, own, something material, but a note is like, oh, that's just a piece of paper.
I think the coins, the shiny metals, and the magic items, it really gives you that fantasy feel. Versus, I feel like bills, I don't know, that maybe it just modernizes it more, which is fine, I suppose, for a certain setting.
Right. Like, I would need a very specific brand of D&D to be okay with a dragon Scrooge McDucking it through dollars instead of gold.
Okay.
It does make it a lot harder to be a thief, right? Because you really have to take your care with it. You can't be burning the money. You can't do anything reckless to the point like we were talking about dragons burrowing or flying on in.
When you think about it, being a thief of gold and whatnot is really, really difficult because it jingles. So the fact that you go in there and try to grab some coins, anybody can hear that. You have to be really, really dexterous to make it not hit together.
That's a good point.
So it's already hard to be a thief.
Yeah, I guess.
It's
I just
easier
like
to
the
steal
idea
paper
the
money.
dragon scoops up a whole bunch and runs away.
Yeah, but who keeps you keep all your paper money in one place, right? Gold coins just jingle around in your pocket or in your little coin purse. It's so much easier to steal a wallet silently than it is to take a whole coin purse.
I feel like a rogue would be a great class to play in this world with all these
right?
these bills.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. You can't steal from... At least at our table, I don't think I've ever seen anyone steal anything from anyone.
Barrel stole from players sometimes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, but it was a contested thing because he had his headband of intellect, and he turned into a dick when he was wearing it.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Yeah.
we took it away from him, but he kept wanting it back, of course.
Yeah, so that was like a player-to-player thing. But yeah, we've never had like one of you guys just decide, oh, well, that person has something I need. I'm going to just take it from them.
Yeah, not even Eknon, the rogue of, 13, 14 levels?
Yeah.
Not
He
once
was
did
he was a
consider.
justified rogue through means of like circumstance. He didn't mean to be a rogue or a thief. He just
kinda
had
just
to do it.
happened.
He had to do it for like a couple of months though because of the means of the beginning of what happened in Storm King. So it was like, oh, he's been framed for something.
Yeah, I suppose not every rogue is a thief, so that's why there's the distinction.
Yeah, it was just circumstance where it's like, oh, now I'm stranded in Waterdeep, and that's what. And then Eknon had to figure it out from there.
But man, if there was dollar bills though, think about how much he could have taken though.
Oh
Just
yeah,
think
he
about
could have taken so many, just like he probably took some of the gold coins.
25 minimum stealth. How many dollar bills can I grab, Seth? How many?
So, with this episode about currency, there is a distinction between currency in Dungeons and Dragons. There are three main pieces, I would say, that being the copper piece, the silver piece, and the gold piece. Then there are two added pieces on top of that, the electrum piece and the platinum piece. And I would say those are like the main distinctions that we're going across of the main pieces of currency we find in Dungeons and Dragons. At our table, what are we always dealing with? Gold and platinum. Because typically gold is dealt with in small amounts at the beginning of our campaigns, and then later on, whenever it gets too much to say, you get 3,000 gold pieces, you can just easily say 300 platinum pieces, and it's a smaller number to write down, and you'll break it down as you go. Every now and then when the players end up staying at a inn or they go for drinks or something like that, I'll say that's 2 copper, and then they have to write that down, and it's annoying to them, but not to me. But otherwise, we're mostly dealing in gold pieces at our table, on top of that, some platinum.
Right. So just to break it down pretty simply, copper would be like a penny if you're thinking in American currency. And then a silver would be a dime worth 10 pennies. Electrum would be 50 pennies. And then 1 gold piece would be 100 pennies.
Yep.
And platinum would be 1,000 pennies, so like $10. But in D&D, it doesn't exactly translate perfect to modern inflation with our currency. So
Right.
In the player's handbook, they do outline the cost of living essentially, and a comfortable lifestyle costs 1 gold, or a modest lifestyle costs 1 gold piece per day. So that's assuming you're paying for your lodging and for any food or things that you need to buy in a typical day. We can assume that on average you spend about 1 gold, which
Right.
I think that's definitely not the case with a $1. I wouldn't be able to get by
Right.
with $1, and I'd say I'd probably have a modest lifestyle.
Right. Drew and I had a whole conversation about this not too long ago, where him and I were in the kitchen just talking one night, and we decided how much a gold coin is worth in like our money. I don't exactly remember what we got to. Do you remember, Drew?
I want to say it was somewhere between $5 and $10.
I
Feasibly.
think so too. So I'm wondering if we can break it down again. If we can figure out, we had a distinction for how much something in the real world was worth, and how much that was worth in dollars, and how much we would have to buy it for in D&D. So I was like, a hand crossbow is 75 gold pieces. It's a
Really?
gun. It's a gun. It's 75 gold pieces in the game.
Well, that's also the most expensive gun that
Yes.
you could buy.
Yes.
Why does it cost so much?
Well, it's a tiny crossbow. It's a little. It's like a pistol.
I'm just thinking damage perspective. You could buy a dagger for what?
But
couple
you can
silver
one
pieces?
hand a hand crossbow, and you can have it in one hand, and it's way easier to use and reload because it's lighter.
You could one hand a dagger and not have to reload it.
Well, you also have to imagine, like, in this world, who is using and purchasing a hand crossbow. You think...
You'd think it's a noble.
Yeah, like a noble has a small, compact crossbow. They're not going to war with a hand crossbow, but they're using it for whatever their purposes are.
Yeah.
You could think of it like Ezio's concealed blade or something like that. Hand crossbow is, not tiny, but definitely more concealable than, like, a heavy crossbow, which is just completely... You can't take that anywhere.
Yeah, and for instance, when I played Agent 99, like, he was a private investigator. Could I have been using, like, a light crossbow or something for more damage? Absolutely, I could have. Why did I use a hand crossbow? Because theming my private investigator character, I wanted him to have a concealed weapon that, like, fit into his arm, was easy to conceal and get away. So it was just very nice for the character to have something like that. Did Agent 99 have 79 gold pieces or 75 gold pieces, and did Zach make me pay that? No, I just asked if I could have it.
Okay.
And I did.
It's only a D6.
Yeah, it's only a D6.
It's like a name brand weapon. You know, like you're spending that extra money because you want to look cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hands crossbow.
So, hear me out. A night in an inn, in particular. How much is that in D&D, typically? 2 or 3 silver?
Probably. I would say maybe max 5 silver, depending on the place.
I guess, well, actually, I'd say it could be anywhere from, like, 5 silver to, like, 2 gold, actually, because 2 or 3 silver would buy, like, a meal, right?
Yeah, let's
Really? I
see.
feel like it's an expensive meal, no?
We've got something.
We got some
here.
distinctions in here.
Yeah, so a aristocratic inn stay, the nicest inn that you could possibly stay in, would be 4 gold for 1 night. But a comfortable inn stay would be 8 silver, and then a modest one would be 5, according to the player's handbook.
Okay, so 5 silver for a night at, like, an okay place. You know, how much is that in the real world?
Is like $100? Like if you're at a hotel or something?
Yeah, I mean
That's like a hotel. I'd say if
more
we were
so shelter, like a home.
I'm thinking like, and where could we stay modestly? Like an Airbnb, something small like that, like $20, or not $20. That's a little low. $40 to $50 is probably the lowest you're probably gonna find something. If we're talking low end, like say you're staying at like a campsite, you can go as low as $20.
Okay, so are we
That's
thinking typical Airbnb like, I don't know, like $60?
I'd say 50, 60, depending on where
60?
you're at. Because
Okay.
if you're staying in a city, like if we were staying in like Charlotte or something like that, now we're talking it's going to be like $100, maybe higher than that. I'd put that in the like aristocratic area. You know, we're spending a couple of gold on this baby.
Okay, so not an urban area.
Yeah. What can you get for 1 gold in D&D?
Like 20 arrows, I think.
20 arrows. There you go. You can get, let's see, a bag of 1,000 ball bearings for 1 gold piece.
Because you need those.
Jeez. Let's see, crossbow bolts. I'm looking at adventuring gear. I don't really know where like I could find some. Let's see, a blanket. A general blanket is 5 silver pieces. A fucking bell. Sleeping bag. I don't know. A gold feels to me like $10 to $20.
No, I agree, because I feel like in the real world, if you have $20, you could do a lot of stuff with it, you know? Like anything you think to do,
And
for the most part, you could do $20.
And if you wanted to live a modest lifestyle in the real world, say 1 gold per day, let's see. If I took, what's a modest lifestyle? Like 40 grand? Divide by 365.
What's the average amount of money you can make in the country? I don't know.
Not a clue. So the way that they describe a modest lifestyle, I'll say, let's see. Where do they have that? Modest lifestyle would be keeps you out of the slums and ensures that you can maintain your equipment. You live in an older part of town, renting a room in a boarding house, inn, or temple. You don't go hungry or thirsty, and your living conditions are clean, if simple.
That does sound like still lower class, though. You know what I mean? In the D&D world.
Yeah. So maybe we're looking at 2 gold per day for a comfortable lifestyle, which that would mean that you can afford nicer clothing and can easily maintain your equipment. You live in a small cottage, in a middle-class neighborhood, or in a private room in a fine inn. You associate with merchants, skilled tradespeople, and military officers.
And that was for which one?
That's comfortable. And then wealthy would be like you're a merchant yourself, and that is, if I can turn my page fast enough, 4 gold per day.
Now, if you're living a modest lifestyle, then in the real world, you're looking at like $50 to $60 a day.
Okay.
And then in terms of like the higher end ones, you're looking like $100, $200 a day to get to those higher like echelons of living expenses and whatnot. So I don't know. Do we equate a gold piece to like $50? It doesn't feel like $50.
No, I don't think it's not that much.
I don't think it's 1-to-1.
I don't think so either.
Because a gold piece can also buy you a single vial.
That's so weird.
Or a telescope would be 1,000 gold pieces.
You can
D&D.
buy a whole quiver for 1 gold piece. And then I think in the real world, if I tried to buy a quiver, it
That's a
would
lot
cost
of
like
money.
$200.
At
Yeah.
least, at least.
But you have to think about need and necessity. So like a quiver
Right.
in the real world is a specialty item for enthusiasts. Like no one needs a
Yeah.
quiver.
Right.
But in D&D, hunting's a common profession for low class folk.
I could buy a spyglass in the real world, though, for far cheaper than I can in D&D. It's 1,000 gold pieces for a spyglass in D&D. In real life, I could go find a cheap spyglass for like $50.
Yeah, easily. I mean,
Like 1 gold piece.
you could get like toy binoculars that it says
That
it-
work better than a spyglass.
Yeah, objects viewed through a spyglass are magnified to twice their size. I mean, out to a certain distance. Like I had like a Hot Wheels brand binoculars as a kid that I used all the time. I'm sure my parents got that for like $5.
Okay. Well, now that we've kind of discussed like the what
The
real world
ratio.
value
Yeah.
of gold pieces and currency in D&D, kind of got that down a little bit. What do you guys think of like using currency in general? Does currency actually add that much to the game? Do you guys end up using currency that often?
Well, so it really depends on our campaign. I know in Storm Kings we were spending money left and right because we had a lot of downtime and things to spend our money on. In Descent into Avernus, we really haven't gotten to that point yet where Oswin is sitting on a nest egg of like 10,000 gold pieces or more, and it's burning a hole in his pocket, and I can't wait to play again.
Yeah,
so that I
exactly.
can finally spend it. But because we just got out of hell. But in typical D&D, you probably won't be spending, tons and tons of cash, at least not at early levels. So there are, specific bits of adventuring gear that I think are helpful to pick up. Things that you can get for really cheap.
Especially at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
I'd say
absolutely.
adventuring gear is going to come in handy that 1 to 5 range, way more than it will in the later levels. But for instance, you could pick up those ball bearings. You can use an action to like make it harder for enemies to actually get to you. Things like that. The caltrops, things, other items that are just little actions you can add to make combat more interesting early on. That would give you a couple of extra abilities. That's not keeping, especially if you're one of those characters that, I ran out of spell slots and I don't have any melee weapons to use. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I'll help the party or for setting traps. Are you guys at level 20, do you think, going to be setting a lot of traps?
Yeah, all the time.
Not using basic adventuring gear.
No,
maybe
you'll set an ambush or like set up a bunch of spells to go off at the same time. Or maybe like you set up a spell glyph or something like that. But it's not going to be like, we're going to put some ball bearings here, put a little bucket above the door so that way it falls down, lava goes over his head type deal. I'm saying we're probably not going to see that as often as we're like you will in that 1 to 5 range. Like, you know what? To get the big bad, let's actually set up this huge scheme to get him.
Yeah, now that sounds like an amazing character. Maybe like a kobold trapper, and like that's your whole thing is setting up traps. I mean, you could get a hunting trap, which works some kind of way,
Right?
But all these items in adventuring gear aren't particularly useful past those early levels, like you were saying. The specific ones to keep an eye out for, and that will carry you through your entire adventuring career, though. Things like potions of healing, which are a little bit more pricey. That'll run you 50 gold, but you'll be popping those all the time. If you don't have anything to spend your gold on, just grabbing a few more of those is handy. At low levels, healer's kits are friggin' awesome, as we've discussed, especially if you take the healer's feat. It really just takes all the tension out of having to roll your death saves, which it would have been nice if you guys had some for Ghosts of Saltmarsh last time, though we wouldn't have had that amazing nat 20
All
get
the
up.
double nat 20s?
Yeah. So Seth's character and Patrick's character both down. We were down to Drew's character was also down but stable, so it was just Chase versus the big bad wizard. And then Seth rolls a nat 20 and gets up and then Patrick also rolls a nat 20 and gets up, and now all of a sudden it's 3-on-1, and he went down pretty easily.
Oh,
It was pretty close though.
Yeah,
It was pretty intense.
Oh, that was crazy. That was like Zach said at the end of the session. I don't think I've ever had that crazy. Maybe not since we started playing D&D. A scenario with level 2 characters that was that intense.
It's definitely been a while for sure.
Yeah.
I can't think of the last time it was that intense at that low of a level.
Likewise, a bullseye lantern or a hooded lantern are both great items to pick up, especially for your characters without dark vision. This will allow them to turn their lantern on and off without, like, you know, if you're going through a dungeon and it's like keeping that perception check up, really making sure you're not making as much noise as possible, but you need to be able to see where you're going. You hear some footsteps around the corner, throw that hood down, hide in the corner. You know, those items are going to come in handy, specifically for characters without dark vision.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are both also very awesome. Oil's also kind of fun. Not so useful in combat, I would say, but you could definitely get into some shenanigans if you're thinking, okay, well, maybe I want to use it if we're trying to bust a door down, like grease the hinges, give the fighter advantage on their check or something like that. Or, you know, acid you can use in similar ways. But you have to get creative with this sort of stuff.
An antitoxin. I've never actually seen this in here. Like, I've never gone through and read it. But, like,
I didn't realize they had one of those, honestly.
yeah, it gives you advantage on saving those against poison for an hour.
Lame.
So it's like, ooh.
I'm just a
If you
dwarf.
know you're going after a poisonous creature or something like that, though, it's like, oh, you know what? I might need to, like, Witcher style this and, like, put some antitoxins on to make sure I don't get poisoned.
Are they feasibly priced?
Let's see. Let's find it in here. 50 gold. So, potion of healing. But could be useful for a specific hunt, you know?
Yeah, you know, if I was the DM, I would extend that to poison damage as well. So you get advantage on saves versus poison effects, like a green dragon's breath weapon, for example.
Yeah, something like poison, or like you get minus 1d4 on any poison damage you take. Something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
That would be nice.
A little more consistent.
Yeah.
I kinda like that.
Yeah, I really like it. Likewise, so there's a lot of adventuring gear in the book right here. You can also buy magic items. For instance, we had a whole episode a couple of weeks ago about magic items before we got this sick audio set up. But we had an episode a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about different pricing for magic items. You know, common you're going to see in the 0 to like 400-ish range. I know it says 0 to 500, but...
I think common is actually up to 50, but uncommon would be
okay,
up to
uncommon
500.
up to
Yep,
500.
yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we get to like the rare items, anywhere from like 500, I think it's to 4,000.
Yeah, it gets up there. Maybe $4.99, something like that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Do you get multiple installments of that, or?
Exactly. Yeah.
Then getting to like the very rare items and like the upper echelons where it's like costing you tons and tons of gold pieces to like put out for these really cool items. You can save up your gold for those things, but that's always going to come along. And most of the time you're not buying those items. I'm usually going to have, if I'm selling items to a character or to a player, I'm typically selling them something that's uncommon or rare. Something that someone probably spent a month or two making or even less time. Like someone made a ring of protection. Oh yeah, I did this in my off time for a couple of weeks and I made this ring. And like, you want to buy 500 gold, that'll pay for my year for a modest lifestyle. So likewise, I'd say that I'm mostly of the mind to give my players things, that are on those upper echelons where you're spending tens of thousands of gold on something. Normally that's not going to happen. Normally I'm just going to make sure they find it in a dungeon and hopefully they don't sell it.
Right.
But when you guys have picked up a whole lot of gold, what do you do when you have 10, 15, 20,000 gold just lying around in your pocket as a character with already powerful items?
Well, so first you ask your DM, are there any magic item stores? If there aren't, then we start talking. So in our last campaign, we did have a keep that we upkept and paid employees to watch after, which was awesome and amazing. I mean, that's a good use of your money if you don't know what to spend it on. In Avernus,
home base, yeah.
Oswin is about to set up his home base in he's going to make a little workshop so he can continue working on magic items there. I don't have a great answer for you besides magic items, and I think that's sort of a failing of the game in some ways. Yeah, I mean, you can blow your oodles and oodles of cash on a ton of healing potions if that's really what you want to do, but there's not a lot of great high-end expenses that aren't magic items. More about the cost of magic items. I don't want to lose this thought that I had. When determining the price of a magic item, what do you guys specifically? Because I really don't like the range that they provide in the DMG. What kind of things go into determining your magic item prices?
So specifically for me, if I'm creating an item of some kind, I do try to abide by the guidelines that are in the book, in a sense that I don't want to break the game by giving a magic item for a certain price to one of my players, So I do want it to be within that range that they give, but sometimes I'll be a little creative with it. If I find it'll be very powerful, or if it's a specific item that I've catered to a certain one of my players that I know they'll get a lot of use out of, it might be a little, might be a little more expensive. It kind of depends on the situation.
I usually think about it in context. If an adventurer has this item and, say, Varys pulls them aside and says, I want to buy your sword from you, they're going to give them like that upper edge, like that very high price. Okay, you can buy it from me for 10,000 gold instead of like 5,000. Yeah, you can buy it from me for 10,000 gold and I'll give you my sword right now. And then it's like, okay, there you go. There's his sword. This adventurer's sword is gone, and Varys has some really cool angel sword. Whatever. If you think about it in magic item shop scenario, like if you go to a jewelry store, this person's a jeweler. They have tons of things they've been spending time making. They maybe sell a couple things a month, and they're living just a fine lifestyle. And then otherwise, it's mundane jewels and little things that they're selling for pretty cheap. If they sell a magic item, it's like, wow, okay, cool, I did this well. But they might have spent a lot of their off time making said magic item. In that context, I would say put it in the mid to high range and then allow players to talk to them. See what players can do. Bargaining is always a fun part of D&D. I think that characters with a lot of persuasion or deception, letting them make those checks and get a lower price on something is valuable to a player who makes a charismatic character. So don't take that away from them by making like an item price like set there. Be a little bit flexible with it. And otherwise, if it's someone who doesn't really value the items, say you guys have met Mordenkainen in your current campaign. If someone wants to buy something from Mordenkainen, he doesn't care that much about a lot of these items. It's like he's seen everything, he's had everything. Sometimes he'll give things away for free, not even caring. And then otherwise, if he's going to sell you something, it's like, sure, give me a couple thousand gold for that really cool item. Sure. It's not that big a deal to me.
Yeah, I've got 12.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, I don't care that much about it. I think I always put it into the character's context. I'm not going to say like every single ring of protection you see is 500 gold pieces, because if it's on a character and they value that item, if it matters a lot to them, I'll probably put it closer to 1,000 gold that you're going to have to buy it. While if you're buying it from just some shop or something like that, or I don't want to go through the role play of you spending your money on a ring of protection, I'll just sell it to you for 500 because no arguments needed. If your character's not that charismatic and I notice that or something like that, or if we're making characters for a one-off and you're like, hey, Seth, can I buy a ring of protection? I go, yeah, 500 gold. Just put it down. I don't need to know anything else.
Right.
Is typically how I'm going to do those things. But in different scenarios, it always just depends on the character to me.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of where I lie as well. So I don't often present my players with the option of buying magic items. I think in general the idea of a magic item shop is kind of cheap. I'd much rather, not even give you any gold and then have you run into interesting magic items on the way. But if there is the opportunity to sell things, there is one resource that I'd like to let everyone in on. I'm sure some of you probably have heard this, but there's a awesome list. It's called Sane Magic Item Prices, and it's by Cy Doro, and I do reference it sometimes. And basically, it's just a more logical way of thinking, okay, well, what's the sort of impact that this sort of item has on the world, and how much would it cost? So, like, for example, a first level spell scroll is an uncommon item, but it's not going to cost you 500 gold. That's probably like
Right.
60 gold. if
Yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah, I would never. Yeah, I don't. I guess I don't ever think about it in that way. Where I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I wouldn't charge anyone 500 gold for a first level spell scroll. Or for instance, in Dragon Heist, they provide you with a librarian, in like the area where your characters live. They provide you with a librarian who has spell books readily available for you to copy, and just you have to allot time and rent time to copy spells down. And or you can buy spell scrolls and buy the chance to like make spell scrolls from him. And they don't charge 500 gold for that.
Well, yeah, of course not.
Even in there, it's like, yeah, you're playing a 1 to 5 adventure. They're not going to charge you that much for that. It's like, okay, 50 gold, and you get to go copy down a first level spell, and that is reasonable and makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I remember you sending that to me a while back. You were like, hey, here's this sane magic item list, and I liked it a lot too.
Yeah, and I don't reference it all that often. I think some of the options there are a little. Well, I don't agree with some of them. Like a 9th level spell scroll, I think was way too reasonable of a price. I feel like in the first place, no one's going to be selling you that. So if there was, an ancient wizard or a lich or someone who just really has got, a nest egg of spell scrolls that they're just dying to give out, they're not going to be giving it for no, 3,000 gold.
Oh,
Right.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. But I think that's a good starting point if you're like me and you don't like the range that they provide for some of these items, especially because for some items in particular, rarity really doesn't translate to usefulness.
Right.
I would say something like, Sovereign Glue, an amazing item, but definitely not worth 100,000 gold pieces, even though it's legendary.
Is
I
it
just
worth
had-
100,000 gold pieces?
I'm not sure. It's within that range, though. In the DMG, I'm pretty sure they say a legendary magic item or artifact can cost up to, any amount.
I just had an amazing NPC idea. Hear me out. A character who specializes in making spell scrolls, right? And they sell these spell scrolls in a very peculiar way. They keep those prices, that very high, 500 gold price, 1,000 gold, maybe even sometimes they're charging 5,000 gold.
Okay.
But not for just a spell scroll. For a grab bag of random spell scrolls they have made. You have to buy, 10 levels worth of spell scrolls and from a specific spell list, and any number of those could be in there, and you get to roll for them. So
Oh my god.
if you're rolling from the paladin spell list, you then are gonna have to roll whatever die corresponds to the spells that are there, and decide which spells are actually a part of that. And the DM would decide which levels they are. So okay, I need you to roll a D10 because you're rolling from the first level spell list. I need you to roll a D8 because this one's from the third level spell list, and so on and so forth. Cool character.
Yep. First name, visit my, last name, Etsy.
Exactly. They just I just think it's a cool idea to be like, okay, you know what? We could use some cleric spells. We don't have a cleric on in our party. The casters could use some cleric spells. Let's go over to Philip, who has all the spell scrolls, and buy a couple grab bags till we get what we need.
Yeah, I honestly really do love that idea. Just like a mystery box is a perfect fit for D&D, where everything is determined by die or
Don't tell the
dice
rest of
anyways.
the party. Maybe it'll come up.
Okay.
No. Forget about it. We'll do it next campaign.
I think there's something about magic when you actually introduce randomness to it that makes it so much better. Because you get wild magic, right?
Yeah.
Wild magic is super fun, but also the idea of reaching into like a random box in Call of Duty to get the ray gun or something. Or
Wild
you get something
magic-
real stupid.
Wild magic is great when the DM takes it in their own hands and it's not how it is in the book, because wild magic in the book is boring as hell. But if you say for instance, every time I do wild magic though now, and it's hey, roll on the wild magic surge table in the sorcerer thing in the player's handbook, I'm like, get out of here. I'm not rolling on that list. I'm going to this list, and I go online and I look up wild magic table and I choose one at random. So I'm like, oh, what are we doing today? An evocation-based one? Sure. A conjuration-based one? Sure. Are we doing one all around fire? Yes, we are. And so there's an infinite number of wild magic tables online that people have made. You can just go on Google Images, look at wild magic table, and there's just hundreds. And it's just I'm just going to choose one today. And this is the one we're going to go with. I'll read over a couple and go, oh, this sounds fun. And that's what I did whenever you guys did the magic duels not too long ago. There was wild magic effects going off that I chose from a random evocation table because I was like, well, magic duels are all about evocation. This room would be about that. It's just a random table about evocation magic.
That was a good use of it.
Yeah, I'm really into that.
Yeah, and so it makes wild magic more interesting, especially, like, imagine as a DM having, like, 20 of those tables, and you know how you roll for Portent every day?
Mm-hmm.
Say your character, instead of just rolling from the sorcerer one, you, like, roll a d20. All right, this is the table you go off of today. Anytime you have a wild magic effect go off, you have to roll on it, and it just changes every now and then.
I hate how stressful that is, but I love it.
Yeah, it's chaotic. It's fun.
I feel like chaotic anything with magic is super fun.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up one little thing. We didn't. I know we're talking about currency here. I'm gonna bring it back. We talk about a lot of affordability, different things you can buy. Something I've wrestled with for a little bit is the idea of credit in D&D.
Oh, I haven't even thought about that.
Mm-hmm. So in the real world, obviously, it's very, it's pretty typical. You go to the store, get some groceries, you put it on your credit card, or maybe you buy something you want.
You pay it off immediately because you're a responsible adult. You would never get behind on any payments, and your credit score is above 750.
I could never do that. Yeah, of course. Yeah, everyone's got that.
Yep, for sure. But I'm thinking, I like the idea specifically of debt for characters because it brings an interesting dynamic in there, but also for lower level players that maybe want something that's kind of cool, maybe like an uncommon item or something like that.
A big bad for the 1 to 5 that's a debt collector.
Ooh, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid.
And it turns out he's also a devil. Who would have seen that coming?
No, I was going to be along the lines of he's a really good fighter. Like, he's just a great swordsman. And
yeah, it's like the you owe the mountain money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I'd love that.
You owe Jamie Lannister money. It's like, well, no, I don't. No, please don't fight me.
So the reason I bring it up and the reason I said I've wrestled with it before is because the idea that a good person, like a good common business owner in D&D in a fantasy world would trust you enough to, make 4 payments on an item, it's just unrealistic. But the idea that you go to, some crazy debt collector or like a drug dealer or some underground thieves guild, they're going to do that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's difficult to put it into a benevolent sense, if that makes sense. It just seems undoable. I don't know.
Well, now I'm really, my wheels are turning.
I have so many ideas in my head right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking
that I am not going to tell either of you.
Well, I really don't like homebrew subclasses, but imagine like a warlock who's like in debt to their patron, right? So maybe it's you could reflavor it as like a archfey that they're in debt to, or
they lost
devil,
a gamble. Like they made a gamble with an archfey and they lost, so now they're forever in debt.
Yeah, and then you spend your gold every once in a while. Yeah, you got to throw it on the fire, give it to the Fey Queen, or whatever.
Oh, I like that.
I want to take it a step further and say that if there's an agreed upon term that if you pay so much money, let's say 150,000 gold, they'll release you from your binds, and so that's like the ultimate push of greed in the campaign.
Well, and then you have to rob a bank. And that's this is a great one-off idea.
Yeah.
I love this. This is great.
Oh, man, you guys just said the same thing at the same time. That was cute.
Man, Zach's kind of cute.
Are we about to kiss right now?
Stop.
Don't the camera see you, Zach.
There is no camera.
This is totally a video podcast.
Whoa. Zach.
Anyway, one other thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of equipment. So there is the starting equipment that they give you right at the start of Chapter 5 in the Player's Handbook. So if, for whatever reason, at level 1, you decide, I actually don't want these items. I'd like to buy my own things. For my character, you can elect to roll a number of D4, and then most classes will have a multiplier of 10 for whatever you rolled, and then that'll be your starting wealth that you can use to purchase whatever you want. One thing that Lanky Eric did really well as our first DM that I really liked that idea, and we've used it ever since, is if you're not starting at first level, you still roll. So you can take your starting equipment, but then for every level that you've gained since first, you roll your D4 and then multiply that times. It won't be 10. It'll be times 10 times whatever level you are.
So, like, times 20 if you're level 2, or times 30 if you're level 3.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a great homebrew rule, except for monks, because they only get 5d4 times nothing.
And I feel like that now that all monks aren't, nomads, or they don't all come from a monastery, as it is in the player's handbook, you should change it to like one of the other ones. A lot of monks now, I would consider them as like martial artists. They're just people who punch for money. So I don't know. I would change it to one of the other ones, like maybe put it in the same vein as fighter.
Yeah, honestly, thinking back on it, I might just say everyone gets 5d4 times 10, because why not?
Yeah, not bad.
Okay.
5d4, 44, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense at first level that a fighter would have 5d4 times 10, because they need to purchase armor and weapons, which is a lot more expensive than nothing, which is what a monk needs. But
Except for stupid druids, all their coins are made of wood.
Yeah, well, druids only get 2d4 plus 10, or times 10, but they don't really need that much either. But if we're starting at 5th level, it seems really
make
arbitrary.
Everybody fair.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to just say, yeah, well, you didn't have that much money, and you can't spend it on things that you found on your adventures.
Maybe that's something we'll do from now on. Just like because we start at like 3rd level now, because I like you guys to have like more fleshed out characters at the beginning rather than rushing through the 1st and 2nd level just so I can get you to 3rd. Mm-hmm. So I would...
Yeah, it'd be really lame if someone did that, if someone started at 1st level.
And we had a lot of fun, and I think with the characters that we made, it made a lot of sense for us to be 1st level, but I like for, like you guys specifically in the Avernus campaign, to already be established characters and start off as somewhat knowledgeable about your like fighting styles and whatnot, because a lot of times you want to make a character and you have this vision in your mind, and that being 1st level doesn't quite fit that vision, and you want all your cool subclass stuff at 3rd level. Mm-hmm. So I think 3rd level is like the perfect starting point because you already have a subclass.
Yeah, and that was my exact problem as Morrowind in Storm Kings.
Yeah.
So I definitely think 3rd level is a great place to start, because if you want a multi-class, you can start on that, but if not, then everyone's got their subclass, which is, the thing that really defines what sort of path you're going down with your character.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you're multi-classing like that, the multi-class is part of your subclass anyways, pretty much. You're going to get your subclass later, but your character you had in mind, if you're doing a 3rd level multi-class, well, the multi-class is kind of covering a lot of that base already.
So I have a good question. As far as money goes, we're talking about leveling as well. If you could, how much money would you appraise a level to be?
Too much money.
I don't know. I honestly don't.
I think it depends on how far you go, because sort of like in Fire Emblem. It's Fire Emblem, right? No, not Fire Emblem. In Skyrim, where you can pay people to get skills.
Yep.
I'd say you could pay someone to train you and teach you like a skill. Pay someone to teach you those kinds of things. And I would give a certain amount of money towards that. I don't think you can pay to get fighting experience of like a level. I don't think you can pay to get extra spells unless, of course, you're like giving devotion to a god or something like that. So I'd say I couldn't put a price on a level up, but there is something to say about paying for a proficiency or something like that, because you could learn from somebody. You could get classes taught to you. You could become an apprentice for a certain period of time.
Yeah, I really do love that idea. Say if your party's taking downtime, and the fighter really wants this magic sword, and this character really wants this, but well, I'm a druid, I don't really want anything. Can I learn a skill, or can I take a feat? And if it's an equivalent amount to what the other players are getting, I'd say sure.
I'd say absolutely.
Yeah. If I were buying a level, I'd just go off of experience points in the player's handbook and then just replace it with gold. So get to 2nd level, 300 gold. 3rd level, 900 gold. And then 20th level, of course.
And you know how I would justify that? Your living costs for when you were learning that skill.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so,
exactly, yeah.
Like, okay, it took me 3 months to level up, and I paid 300 gold in that time.
Yeah, pretty much. That's along the lines of what I was thinking.
I had to buy equipment. I had to do all this stuff. I had to pay for food. I took people out. Like, I had to do social things. I had to do classes and whatnot. Yeah, I spent 300 gold in that time, and then so on and so forth ever since. If you're not doing anything for your level, you're just doing training and that's it. Yeah, I think what Zach said makes a lot of sense because it's just that much time, that much living expense.
I agree. I think those are all solid points, but I love the idea of a one-off where you have to buy levels and you can level yourself up as you go. So you're doing like a bank heist or something. You know, the more money you obtain throughout the session, the more you level.
But that would force me to use an app.
I was gonna say all of us
True,
use
true.
the 5th edition app thing, and we're just consistently level, get all your stuff. None of us can play casters.
No,
I mean, you have all your spells chosen beforehand.
Yeah,
and
you have to prepare it.
written down and typed up. So it's like, okay, I have all my spells chosen through 9th level beforehand. And then throughout the session, you do a quick thing, make money, level up, go on to the next thing. That sounds fun.
That would be really fun.
I think you have to
but I want
flavor it,
you
you're all
to-
clerics.
But I'd really like for you to design it and make it work.
I can make that work.
Yeah, so you spend the next year thinking about that. We'll play it next year.
All right, but if I, gosh dang it! All right, what day is it? February 3rd, 2nd.
Second.
All right, February 2nd next year. Keep your schedules open.
All right,
good, boys.
I'll hold you to it. We have it on audio. I was going to say video. We're not on video.
One last thing I wanted to mention as far as currency goes is depending on the setting you're in, depending on the surroundings in the game, different items can cost different amounts, and gold can be called different things. For instance, in Waterdeep, gold is referred to as dragons by NPCs and whatnot. So you'll bring it up if you have new players at your table. I remember I did this whenever I ran Dragon Heist for a little bit for some strangers, and I said the word dragons, and they're like, dragons where? And I was like, no, guys, that's the name of money in this town.
And they went, that's so cool.
Funny. That's so cool.
The bartender reaches across the table and places 3 dragons in front of you.
Kill it. It's different.
Oh.
So in D&D, you can have a bunch of different values based on your setting, based on the different worlds you're in, based on just the different city you go to. Things can be of different value. Don't take everything that's in the player's handbook at face value because every DM is going to be different on how they handle money. For instance, I like to have a little bit of magic items in shops. I don't have a lot. A lot of times it's more uncommon and common stuff. But I appreciate the NPCs that are selling those items, so I want them to remain in the world. I think we told a story a long time ago about Grandine, who was a beloved NPC from Storm Kings, who sold some magic items to the characters. We've had one in our first campaign way back in the day, who we ended up buying magic items from. I think those characters are meaningful to have there, and I appreciate them a lot. And do we need them? No. You can find all the magic items yourselves. You can make them yourselves. Something I appreciate about Oswin and Nuth is the fact that they took up creating some magic items, and I wish other players did too, because for instance, Python and Keely, you guys could still make magic items. You even though you're not artificers, you could still imbue magic sigils and whatnot into items and create things. Varys could take some monkish time and make something himself, and then have you guys help him with finishing the incantations.
Yeah, I mean, his whole thing could be poisons and healing.
Exactly.
Things. Yeah.
It could be along the lines of Eknon, who had the crazy different poison vials and whatnot. He could have that same thing where he has a sword that he puts different oils and poisons on with the tip. That would be so cool. It makes a lot of sense for him too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that there are a lot of different ways you can use money, and before taking anything that we said today and bringing it directly to your DM, how about just figuring out what they like to do first, figuring out their own style, and not taking exactly what we said at face value, but every DM has a different style. All 3 of us have different styles. Zach likes magic item stores and stuff less than I do, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them. I'm not going to have the one shop where you can buy every magic item that you want, but you're much less likely to find a magic item shop in Zach's setting than you are in mine.
That's 100% correct. Don't expect it, but if you find one, you'll be happy.
Any final words before we end the episode, boys?
Yeah, so there is one thing that's been in the back of my mind this whole time, and I haven't had a great time to talk about it. So, just for everyone at home, what do we do with the weight of money? How much does money weigh? Do we care? Do we worry about it?
Well, the way I'm thinking about it is, in the world we live in today, in the real world, my money doesn't weigh anything because it's in my phone. So that's the way I'm kind of thinking about in D&D.
It's in my bag of
It's
holding.
not there.
So whenever the characters are carrying money, if they have enough money that it's going to weigh them down, it's in the bag of holding. There's no way. I've watched that YouTube video that talks about how much gold can actually fit in a bag of holding, and it's an obscene amount. So I don't really care.
Yeah, that's sort of my thought too. Unless it's, a very specific situation, like you're at the ancient Black Dragon's hoard and, you're trying to steal all of it. Okay, well, get as much as you can hold and go. But you're not going to be able to hold all of it.
In that regard, I would put them on like a time limit where I'm like, you have 10 minutes before like said thing is going to happen. You got to hurry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in 10 minutes, you're not going to be able to get the whole hoard. You might like stick the bag of holding down and like go wild. But even if you're going crazy for 10 entire minutes trying to get the entire hoard, you're probably still not going to get the whole thing.
In 9 minutes, though, I get a lot of gold.
Yeah.
One final thought that I had, and Drew, I'll leave you time for your final thoughts if you have any. But we did not mention vehicles or mounts at all, and I think that that's also a great use of your money, specifically...
if you want your mount to die.
Yes, of course. But I would just like to direct everyone's attention to page 157 of the Player's Handbook. Here you can find animals like a donkey or mule, which only cost 8 gold pieces. A draft horse, which costs 50 gold pieces. A mastiff, 25 gold pieces. An elephant, only 200 gold pieces.
That is
Really?
crazy.
You could buy a whole elephant for 200 gold
You
pieces.
have to know where to get an elephant, though.
Yeah, but just level with me here. A war horse, a much smaller creature with much fewer hit points, no application in battle, really. 400 gold pieces.
Really?
Yeah, that's wild. Because an elephant, that's insane.
Elephants are so affordable.
You can have a pet. Yeah, elephants. The elephant economy in D&D is wild.
Yeah, and honestly, you could buy... Oswin has the money to buy a whole ship for himself, a whole sailing ship. And I'm a third of the way of getting to a galley.
You know what? Maybe one day we should do an episode on mounts and vehicles.
Yeah, and then you guys will shit all over it. You'll say mounted combatant's not a good feature. Cavalier's a terrible subclass. But you'll see. You'll all see.
I'm specifically gonna be like, yeah, every creature attacks the mount. They don't care about anything else.
We'll do it with disadvantage because I'm a cavalier, baby.
OP.
They have a +20 to hit.
Oh. well,
Important, not one.
yeah, exactly. I'm also a divination wizard.
Ooh.
Drew, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts on money. Don't be afraid to give your players some. Don't be afraid to take some away from your players. It's a resource like any other resource in D&D. It's fun when you don't have any. It's fun when you have a lot. So play around with it. See what your players do. They might do something really creative, and they might blow it at a tavern. Who knows? But you won't know until you try.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Table Talk Friday, a D&D podcast. We really appreciate the viewership. If you have anything you'd like to say to us specifically, send it to tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. You can send us questions, comments, concerns, etc. Any kind of D&D stories you got going on. Tell us what you spent the most money on in Dungeons & Dragons. And with that, character, bring us out with money.
You mean take you out? Like to dinner? To a fine restaurant establishment? A fine restaurant money establishment? An establishment that you could go out to with your money at an establishment? Like a restaurant?
Thank you for listening to Table Talk Friday. For more information, advice, questions, comments, and concerns, you can email the boys at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. And if you'd like to tell your own stories, why don't you hit them up there? Send an inquiry or something, a sending spell. Thank you very much for listening, and please follow and come back next week. Goodbye. Bye-bye.